Yo, what's good, guys? It's Shane here, and I'm back with another video. Today, I'll be ranking the top 10 shooting guards in the league. If someone was left off this list, it's either because they're not a shooting guard or wasn't good enough to make it. With that being said, let's get straight into it. At number 10, I have Collin Sexton. Collin Sexton is very underrated, which is probably because he plays in Utah, but regardless, he's a great player. He shoots 39% from 3 on decent volume, he's a solid defender, and scores the ball at a pretty good rate as well. He's not that great of a passer and doesn't score in the paint efficiently, but that's mainly a result of him being a small guard. One thing I love about Sexton is that he's always going to try his hardest, and that's enough for him to earn the 10th spot. At number 9, I have Bradley Beal. This may be surprising to some, but Beal had a crazy fall off. He went from averaging 30 to averaging 22 on not so great efficiency. Some of this is a result of playing next to Booker and KD, but he could still be more effective. Just like Sexton, Beal isn't a great passer, and if he isn't scoring, you're not getting much from him. He's not a great defender, and as previously mentioned, he's not a good passer, so he's basically useless if he puts up like 10 points. I'm hoping that Phoenix mentions him next season and Tyus Jones takes his starting spot, but I doubt it seeing the reputation that he has and his contract. Regardless, Beal is at my number 9 spot. At 8, I have Zach LaVine. I know a lot of people are low on Zach LaVine, seeing that he just came off of a bad season, mainly because of injuries, in which he only played 25 games, but people forget that just a couple years ago he was in conversations with Booker. This season he'll have a comeback season, especially seeing how bad the Bulls are, so he'll have a lot of opportunities to score on this bad of a team. He's evolved as a shooter and is still a great slasher, which will generate a lot of points. At 7, I have DeJounte Murray. I still think DeJounte is a great player, even though playing next to Trae Young made him look horrible. On the Pelicans, I think he can get back to the defender he was in San Antonio, and he'll get back to playing point guard, I hope, which is his true position, but for now, he's a shooting guard. He had a defensive rating of 119, which is decent, and was an alright three-point shooter as well, but playing on the Pelicans will unlock him as an elite passer and defender, and take a lot of the scoring load off of him, which will cause him to look much better. At 6, I have Desmond Bane. Bane's a great player, being a good shooter, decent passer, okay defender, and he rebounds the ball well for his position. Just like LaVine, he wasn't healthy last season either, but the Grizzlies weren't healthy as a whole. And as a result of this, it may make a lot of people be a bit lower on him, but I still think he's a great player. With the Grizzlies being healthy again this season, Bane will be the clear second option for them, and he'll be a great piece for them in the regular season and playoffs as well. At 5, I have Kyrie Irving. He had a great season last year, averaging 25 points per game on almost 50-40-90 shooting splits, which is insane. He was a great second option next to Luka, and as we know, he's a great scorer in the paint, mid-range, and even at the 3 as well. He's not a strong defender, but when he locks in, he can actually be decent. He played pretty good defense in the playoffs for the most part, and just played good overall for most of the playoffs, but he did have some stinkers here and there, and also played horribly in the finals. I don't think that level of play is normal for him, and he'll bounce back in the playoffs next year. At 4, I have Jaylen Brown. He was great, winning Finals MVP obviously, but also being one of the best two-way players in the league. He's a good scorer, okay passer, and a great defender. Last year, he was usually guarding the best player on the opposing team, and in the finals took the Luka assignment, which is a very tough task to take. He's a very aggressive player, putting his head down and attacking the paint, which makes him a great inside scorer. At 3, I have Anthony Edwards. I know all the Ant Glazers are going to come for me for putting him at 3 and having you-know-who above him, but I just disagree with him being the best shooting guard in the league. He's a pretty good two-way player, being a good defender and locking up some players in the playoffs. And obviously he's a great offensive player, but his passing concerns me at times, and sometimes making questionable moves or just throwing the ball away. But regardless, he led his team to the conference finals at 22 years old, which is a very impressive feat to have. Even though there's some holes for him on offense, he's still a great slasher and a decent 2-point and 3-point shooter. This season, it'll be much harder for Ant to score in the paint, seeing that they got Julius Randle and the spacing of Cat is gone. So Julius Randle, Jaden McDaniels, Rudy Gobert, they're not great 3-point shooters, and Rudy Gobert is not a 3-point shooter at all. So with them 3 on the floor with Ant playing, I don't know how the spacing is going to be, and they might clog the paint, which will limit his rim touches that he'll get, or not rim touches, his points in the paint, I should say. Like the amount of points he gets in the paint, it might be limited due to non-spacing, so I don't know how that's going to go for him. but he's still an amazing player regardless, and he'll still get a lot of points. And I think either this season or next season, they'll make it work because they still made it work with Cat, moving him to the 4 with Rudy Gobert. So I have no reason to believe that they can't make it work with Julius Randle too, who is a very similar player to Karl Anthony Towns. At 2, I have Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell is an amazing player and maybe a bit underrated at this point of his career. He put up almost 27 points per game last season on decent efficiency and consistently leads the Cavs to secure a playoff spot. He's become a good passer, an okay defender, and he's also a good three-point shooter and slasher in the paint. He's a great shot creator, usually scoring off the dribble or setting up one of his teammates. If the Cavs get a good shooting big or Mobley begins to shoot this season, it'll open up so many opportunities for him and allow him to score more in the paint. I think the Cavs should honestly move Mitchell to the point guard because he always has the ball in his hands and he's a well-equipped passer. Like he can pass good enough to play point guard. And I think they should either trade Garland or just move him to shooting guard because he'll be much more effective at point guard, I think. At 1, to the surprise of some, I have Devin Booker. He's an amazing scorer, putting up 27 points per game, but one thing I love/hate about his game is the amount of mid-range shots he takes. He takes them much more than threes, and if he began to take more threes, it will make the Suns' offense so much better because he's a great three-point shooter, but he just doesn't take them and settles for mid-range jumpers. He's a decent defender, not great, but decent, and he also showed a lot of defensive promise in the Olympics, but I don't know if that'll be a thing in the NBA, seeing that he has much more of an offensive load on his shoulders. But Devin Booker is not only a great scorer, but also a decent passer now. He was forced to play point guard last season because the Suns didn't have one, so that made him much more of a passer. With these new equipped playmaking skills, he's become much better of a player than he was before. But with them acquiring Tyus Jones, he'll be able to score much more again and get back to his normal role. So with that being said, his point average can definitely increase in this upcoming season. Another factor to that being that Tyus Jones is an amazing passer, has a great assist to turnover ratio, so he'll be able to set Book up with open looks from all over the floor. Not to mention that he's also good in the paint, could get a poster here and there, and is very capable of scoring inside when he needs to. And those are my top 10 shooting guards in the league. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section below, whether you agree with it or not, if some of my picks might have been dumb or great picks, or if I left anyone off. I'm all ears. Just like the point guards, this position had a consensus top 3, or at least I think it did, because I don't know how other people's rankings are, but regardless, they were pretty easy to rank. And with that being said, I'll see you guys later.